Welcome everybody. This should also be a fairly short video. So today's lesson is on the law of gravitational force, and you've probably heard the story about Newton sitting under an apple tree and an apple bonked him on the head, and this supposedly inspired him to write about the law of universal gravitation, or what we say today, the law of gravity. It's a nice little story, but it's not quite true. I hate to burst your bubble, but it is what it is. So Newton did determine that all objects attract or pull each other, like they pull on each other. So if you have a pencil sitting next to you, or the dog lying across the room, or the clock on the wall, all of those objects are pulling on each other, pulling towards each other with the force of gravitational attraction. There are two parts to this force. The first is that the force of gravity will increase as mass increases. So the greater the mass of the object, the stronger it will pull. And part two, the force of gravity decreases as the distance between two objects increases. So the farther away something is from you, the less it is pulling on you. And this is the equation for gravity. The force of gravity is equal to the mass of the first object times the mass of the second object, all divided by the distance between those objects squared. So that's how we can actually calculate how much gravity is between any two objects. Okay. Now here I have some live links, and I will post these in Google Classroom. This first link talks just about gravity and about the planets and the difference of mass and weight, which we will be exploring this week. And this link actually talks a little bit more specifically about Newton's law of universal gravitation. So if you are a traveler, I have found this over in England. They have trees that actually are descendants of the tree under which Sir Isaac Newton was reputed or rumored to have conceived his theory of gravitation. So just a little fun fact for you. Next slide. So this is more of a visual. The size of the arrow is supposed to represent the amount of gravity that exists between those two objects. So just for a better visualization here, to sum it all up, the greater the mass, right here we have smaller sizes of objects and we have larger sizes of objects. The greater the object, or the greater the mass, the stronger the pull between them. Okay, so larger mass, larger force. That's the easiest way to remember it. And then the second part, gravitational force does depend on distance. So the greater the distance between the objects, the smaller the force. So hopefully that, I would draw something like this in your notebook just to help your brain remember bigger mass, bigger force, and also the opposite, larger distance, less force. Smaller distance, more force. So say those things to yourselves a few times, and you should have Newton's law of universal gravitation down pat. Thank you for listening. Go ahead and read those two. They are very short entries. Go ahead and read those. There's no assignment associated with them, but if you want to learn more about gravity and how it affects us, please go do that. Thank you.